Good evening and welcome to the Buddy Martin Show. It's a Thursday night. It used to be called the Orange and Blue Bloods night, but we can call it that if you want to. Tonight we got the usual lineup of suspects. Unfortunately, the news is not good for the softball team. Gators taken down today by Texas, and they'll play again tomorrow, the softball team. Baseball team up tomorrow. We'll see how they fare up in South Carolina. And we'll talk about that today on the program, along with the fact that three coaches who probably should have been in the Hall of Fame, at least two, now will have a chance to do that because of the changes in rule. A different qualification now for Les Miles, Jackie Sherrill, and I'm so glad about this with Mike Leach. They can now get in the Hall of Fame. So on the program tonight, we got Ben Troupe. He's joined the program, and he'll talk about his thoughts on that, as well as where do we go from here? Baseball team playing tomorrow, softball team in the losers bracket. Rob Browne from SEC Sidelines has a few thoughts he'll share with us. He's our pinhandle expert. He's been down here longer than I have. And Franz will come out of the archives for writing his book and writing columns and stories. He's a busy man, making you feel welcome tonight. Been a rough week for France. So all that coming your way tonight right here on this program. It's called The Buddy Martin Show because I'm Buddy Martin.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. Well, we're going to see how the baseball team can do tomorrow, carrying the hopes of all Gators, trying to get on the winning side of things. Certainly had a fantastic finish of the year, but they got tough competition. They were playing up there in that district with Coastal Carolina. They're going to have to end up beating them twice to get out of there, but they can do it. And we'll talk about that in their lineup coming up tomorrow at noon. I don't know the Springsbrook Stadium. Maybe you guys do, but apparently it's the Homer Dome. And we'll see how many home runs the Gators can hit. They haven't hit a lot lately, but they were 31st in the nation with 88 home runs. Most powerful team in the Conway Regional by a wide margin, and thus they have the region's best offense more than likely. So that's something to talk about. There's a very interesting story about the Hall of Fame. The rules have changed. How do you feel about it? And by the way, who remembers this? Ernest Tubbs. You never heard of him? You're too young. He released a song called Walking the Floor Over You as a single in 1941 on this day. It changed music. It was going to make it a country music standard and one of the most important songs in the history of country music. And it cemented Tubb as a massively influential figure in genre. I've got this picture in my mind of my Uncle George Albright. I remember we had a mosquito problem back in those days before we had mosquito control. And he was fanatical about these mosquitoes coming to his house out in Wearsdale. He'd walk around with a rolled up phone book. Back then, Ocala was so small you could roll a phone book up, swatting mosquitoes and singing, I'm walking the floor over you. And he was Pennsylvania Dutch. Anyway, that was Ernest Tubbs. Softball tomorrow night. Now that Tennessee is lost, the Gators will be playing in the losers bracket tomorrow night. See where they go from there. It's a tough day today. We'll talk about the game some with Franz. He wrote about it, covered it today. And unfortunately, didn't go their way. And Tim Walton being philosophical about it, he said, we're on the losing side, but both teams played well. They did, but unfortunately, 3 home runs, 3. One girl had 2 of the 3. And they lost. Couldn't get it done. You can't win games if you don't score runs. They didn't score a run. And, of course, that's what happens. And a lot of those balls they hit, the thing is that they only struck out like 2 batters all the whole game. Everything was a ground ball, it seemed like, or a pop fly. So, anyway, that's one thing to talk about. We'll talk about the new schedule times are out for the football. We'll discuss that some with Ben and Franz and the guys. There's news about the defensive back Dejon Johnson, which I'll share what little I know, which is not that much, but there is some movement on that. And I was saying last night to Kevin and Franz, we spent probably out of the hour 65% talking about basketball. And I said, are we a basketball school now? And it's hard not to talk about it. When the boogeyman's coming to town, all that good things happening. So a lot of excitement about this team. They're already being picked to be perhaps defend their championship successfully. Also to be ranked highly. And so that, of course, is very important in the rankings. And we'll talk more about that tonight. On the matter of the Gators losing today, Franz's story talks about, if you haven't signed up for Gator, be sure to do that because you're missing out on a lot of good stuff. Franz talks about the round ball popping up, said the ball left the infield only 5 times against the Texas pitcher, Kavan. And she kept throwing drop balls and 13 ground outs. Mama's turned to any double play. Franz writes, Florida got 2 hits. Only a 4th inning single by Corbiotis reached the outfield. That was off the mitt of Jolie Mitchell, who, by the way, was the girl who hit the home run. So Texas, who was 52-11, didn't exactly wear out the Florida pitching, but 3 of the 7 hits left the yard. And I'm going to say this right now. I don't like losing to Texas. There's something about it that galls me. I listened to them extol the virtues of their great university on Paul Feinbaum's show yesterday, and I get it. It's a great university. It's a great school. It does great things. But I'm telling you, it's like a braggart. It's one thing for them to brag, and that's enough. It's another thing for them to brag and actually do it. And Ben Troupe knows what that feels like. Ben, I don't like losing to anybody, especially Texas.
Yeah, I mean, with Texas being the newcomers, I mean, you definitely want to try to, we try to do our thing collectively as an SEC as well as Florida to try to welcome them in. But Texas never, ever going to lack talent. They're never going to lack coaches. They're never going to lack resources. So just because they just came over to the SEC, we knew what that meant. I mean, not to get into it, but you look at the Tennessee Vol, the women's Vol softball team. They had Oklahoma, but Oklahoma showed why they are Oklahoma. I mean, as far as
walk off against Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I think the thing about it is, too, buddy, we understand. Listen, women's softball in the SEC is on par, if not just as great as men's baseball in the SEC. When you start talking about how great, not good, how great these teams are top to bottom, and like you say, you don't want to lose to Texas. You don't want to lose to anybody. But I think when you talk about this tournament and how great these pitchers are, how great these hitters are, how great the outfield, and how great it's like you got some of the best baseball softball being played any inning. So it's unfortunate and it's hard on you, but it's not going to be no easy wins. It's not going to be no easy outs. And listen, that pitcher for Texas, I mean, she is truly dynamic. I mean, she really, really is. But I think, buddy, that's why you come to the University of Florida, though. You don't duck nobody. And you understand that Florida is just as much the hunted as Oklahoma is, right? And I get it. Oklahoma is the premier softball program in the country right now. But Oklahoma and Texas both wanted to come over to the SEC because they was like, look, we're great, but that conference is great. we've done some great things individually. We want to be a part of this collective known as the SEC. And I'm still very impressed with what our softball team is doing because we get so focused on the male sports in college athletics in general. The women's sports are just as dynamic, just as competitive, just as talented, just as gifted. And like I say, buddy, just because Florida ain't winning national championships every single year, they're highly respected. People like, Florida? Oh, yeah, man, you got to deal with them. So, hey, it is sexy. And like I said, it's unfortunate, but you bounce back, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, Franz is doing a good job. I know Franz and Lauren are probably like, keeping it close to the vest when it comes out women's softball team. But I'm still proud of them. And like I said, I think I saw Scott Strickland. I think he was on a fine bomb with his shades on, talking about – and think about Scott Strickland, though. You talk about basketball. Then you go right into baseball. You talk about softball. Track is right around the corner. You talk about what golf – is doing. So it's, like I said, I don't know who got the most freaking fly miles out of Scott Strickland and Greg Sankey. Probably Greg Sankey because he got a bunch of teams to choose from. But like I say, buddy, no lack of excitement in the spring. We still coming off that high of the basketball team. And Joe Kim Noah said it. They asked Joe Kim Noah, is this a basketball school now? He go, oh, no. Florida will always be a football school, but we want to make sure that basketball is highly respected like football is, which it definitely is. And the guy that said Florida has the best men's program in the last 25 years in college athletics, where's the lie? If you did it in the 90s, you did it in the early 2000s, you did it in the mid-2000s, and now you start talking about 2025, that's 6 national championships in the last 25 years, and give or take, and you start talking about the fact that it's been yes, everybody has some down. Like people gonna say, what about the down years? Name a school that doesn't. Most of the time when we're talking about college, these college teams, we're only talking about one sport. We're not talking about basketball. We're not talking about baseball. We're not talking about softball. We're talking about football. Well, Florida is hopefully getting back to what we used to in football. Ty Golden, but I don't know what you said about him when he first got here, but the recruiting wasn't going to be a problem. It was getting his guys in there.
I didn't know that much about him. I didn't know that much about him except what we read on the West Coast, and Franz knew a little bit about him. But getting back to one thing, and I think Rob hit it on the Rob S. Well, we're going to have Rob Browne on in just a minute too. And this, I'm going to tell it like it is tonight, okay? It does gall me to hear Texas crowing, okay? Everything's bigger and better in Texas. I know a lot of Texas. I have a lot of friends in Texas. I get that's who they are. But here's what I heard today. I listened. Number one, I heard the AD from Texas just going on and on and on how great the state of Texas was, how great the university was, how great the programs were. And this is not only that, but you want to see a nuclear scientist. You want to see a great statesman. You want to see a congressman. You want to see, we got them all from Texas. Well, let me tell you something. Texas is not the beginning and end of the world, okay? There's some great things. They have a big state, about 35 million, whatever it might be, like Franz talked about. They have many good things. But who is called the everything school?
Oh, that would be the University of Florida. That
be Texas, okay?
For so many reasons, too. You know what? I got to play with a lot of guys that went to Texas. I played with Vince Young. I played with Bo Scaife. I played with Ahmad Hall. I played with Michael Griffin.
You heard it, too.
Well, here's the thing, buddy. Here's the thing, right? Vince Young, he has that Rose Bowl 2005, him and Matt Lyon of USC. Beautiful game. I'm talking about a beautiful game. He gets drafted in 2006, right? And he was like, hey, Troupe, man, he talking all this, talking all that. I said, man, I will put Florida versus anybody. What did Florida start doing right after? Uh-oh. Here comes Urban Meyer. Here comes the national championship. And the thing was, he was like, when he was asking me about it, he said, because the thing about the University of Texas, I said, y'all the flagship university in Texas. I said, I would know a little something about that, being the flagship university. I said, y'all are the premier school in the state. I would know a little something about being the premier school in the state. Mm-hmm. I said, but here's the thing, though. Here's the difference. Outside of football, maybe the Texas relays. What is Texas known for? And he started naming off this stuff. I go, I ain't asked you for moments. I asked you for natural. Kevin Durant went to Texas. He played for Texas basketball. What did he do? Now he scored a bunch of points. He was an incredible player. I think for Florida, who was on the front cover of the 2026? You know what I'm saying? NCAA. That would be
some guy named Tebow and another guy with initials.
And here's the thing, buddy. That's Tim Tebow's second time making the cover, by the way. That's the second time. I think that when we get to talking about Texas, right, when your AD has to come out and say, like, pub you guys up, which I expect the AD to do that. I think in Florida, we make people mad because the whole world's seen it. When I saw the Basketball Hall of Fame list come out, I saw Carmelo Anthony, I saw Dwight Howard, and I saw this dude named Billy Donovan. I said, Billy Donovan, how did he get there? Oh, I know how he got there. And I think that's the thing, but is we have, not saying Texas don't, but the University of Florida is solidified. Like somebody will go, hey man, Texas got Earl Campbell. Florida got Emmitt Smith. Texas got Tim Tebow. Texas got Colt McCoy and Vince Young. We got Steve Spurrier, Danny Warfel, Tim Tebow. And I tell people this, I go, y'all don't want to do this, man. You do not want to start going down the list. And that's just football. Don't even get me talking about basketball. Don't get me talking about track. So, buddy, when it comes to the University of Florida, I would just say this. I go, name a time we haven't been relevant, and name a time we've won championships every year. Pick a sport. Like, pick a sport. Now, football, you're not going to win one every year.
Track and field. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I forgot they had about 13 national championships.
But you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I said, wait a minute. We just had the Olympics. Who was the track coach? Oh, that will be Mouse. The next Olympics, who's coaching the basketball team? That's going to be Ty Golden. So even on the international scale, when we are representing America, man, people don't want to do. You don't even know. Look, you don't. I think what I appreciate the most about the University of Florida is we piss a lot of people off, and we don't do nothing, buddy. Like you know why you didn't hear a lot from Texas and Oklahoma in the tournament? Because they weren't there. See, they only get to talking loud when their team is still in it. Right? They in the tournament, think about it. What? We ran the gauntlet, didn't we? Who shut down UConn for the 3-peat? That would be Florida. Who told Auburn again? Florida. Wait a minute. We can't with Texas Tech, that's a bad matchup. Dog. Ain't no way y'all can stop Houston and dub. And I'ma just keep saying this. Florida might not be a blue blood in basketball. We know Kentucky is. Maybe you can just call us a gray blood.
I'm not so sure Florida's not a blue blood.
I think we're blue blood, but the reason why they don't want to give us blue blood status because it's Florida.
Yeah, man.
If it was anybody else, they'll go blue blood, blue blood.
Well, you're not going to do this to me. I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid yet this year. Every time I talk to you, you're going to talk about having that hat that says Ben's Big Lids, whatever, Gator bait on it, which would be good, by the way, if you had it. And you got some great hats up there. But I think you ought to have one that says Ben's Kool-Aid.
Hold on. Wait. We all got our Kool-Aid moments. I go back.
No, listen, I'm just saying to you, making me weak here.
The DJ Lagway Kool-Aid, I'm drinking it.
I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm drinking this plain old water. I'm not going to drink that banned Kool-Aid. You do this for every time. You give me some fired up. I'm ready to pick the national champion. But here's the deal. I'm a homer. They all call me that. That's fine. I'll take that. You're like Pastor Ben. You carry the gospel of the Gators with you, and you get to preaching, and we hear some amens. Next thing we want to do, what do I sign up for Ben's Kool-Aid? I got to get some. So here's the thing. I'm gonna be a little bit objective, a little bit. I'm a journalist. I gotta keep it. I'd like to hear you preach. And they love to hear you preach. They all love to hear you preach. And it's good to have that. You got to get those pom poms also when you talk.
No, listen, Nate.
Man, I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying.
No, I know. Here's the thing, though, buddy. People, the people that be telling you, oh, Buddy is a homer, but no, that's not true because, like you just said, you're a journalist, so you have to write, and writing is a lot different than speaking because you got to be more. Listen, that journalistic integrity, that's what you came from. People don't like it when you tell them the truth. If people don't think you objective, which I know they just lying, you have been extremely objective for every coach that came through Florida, going all the way back past Spurrier, all the way up to now to Billy Napier. Every basketball coach, every baseball coach. And I think what happens is, buddy, they get mad because when they get lost, they'll say, well, the last time I read something about Buddy in basketball, he was being complimentary. They freaking won it. Like, what are you supposed to write if they win the thing? Right? And I think the thing about it is now you even kept saying about even in the midst of I don't know if he's going to do it, but Billy Napier not having to sit down with you. To me, you are the voice between him and the listener and the viewer because sometimes knowing a person or getting a chance to know them because you have a conversation before the cameras come on, you have a conversation when the cameras are on, and you have a conversation when the cameras go off. Those type of things are important because you were the one that kept saying, I think he's a good coach, but he got to get his players in. He got to get the culture built. Is he going to keep calling plays, which, he's doing. And I think, but we all knew that he was missing something. Started off with Anthony Richardson, but we knew the offense really wasn't going to be really as dynamic as it could because you had a player like that. But now the Graham Mertz for Billy Napier is what Kyle Trask was. No, Felipe Frank / Kyle Trask was to Dan Mullen's offense because you got to have the right person to run your offense. I think DJ Lagway is that guy, but I will give you your flowers, buddy. You kept saying this DJ Lagway kid, he just looks different. It's just something different about this kid. Now, it's a sample size. Very, very small. I get it. But 8-5 with the hardest schedule in the country is not being talked about enough. We had the hardest schedule in the country last year and went 8-5. And I get it. It's some games that got away from me, like Texas A&M, Miami, Texas. I get it. But everybody you lost to either went to the college football playoff, had an opportunity to go to the college football playoff. Miami lost to Syracuse. They didn't go to the ACC championship. Texas A&M lost to Texas. So Texas and Georgia played for the ACC championship, and Tennessee got in. That's your losses.
All right. Now, let me clarify something before I get too carried away here. First of all, I made some progress on one thing, and I don't have a problem with Billy, and Billy didn't have a problem with me. It's communication. The SID they had before there was not good about conveying that information. Since that time, the new SID and I have talked, and he said he's going to make it happen. He's offered an opportunity when I get a chance to be there, sit down with him or at least have him on my program. And, right now it's not a good time because he's traveling and he's not involved. But I don't think look, I like Billy Napier.
Yeah.
He stands for a lot of the things I believe in. I don't like some of his play calls. I didn't like some of Spurrier's play calling either. Well, but the bottom line is that I don't have a Billy problem here. I do want to say I don't mind being a contrarian sometimes, okay? I sometimes they zig and I zag, okay?
Yeah.
I don't see it the same way they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's my responsibility, even if I'm wrong, to say this is how I see it. I don't see it that way. I saw DJ Lagway. It didn't take me that many. I watched him on film in high school, and I watched him here. It didn't take me that long to make up my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe I was going to be wrong, but I knew right then the best time sometimes is that first impression. And I said, this kid is not only going to be good, he's going to be great. He's going to make this program great. And I can't wait to see him play. Now, okay, I've missed before. I've been wrong, but I didn't think I was going to be wrong on this one.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
have,
my
but
job.
buddy, have you been wrong or have you been objective? Because people go, well, Buddy Martin was wrong. No. Most of us aren't willing to do what you do. You said, listen, I put my opinions and I put what I feel. I got my penmanship. I'm willing to put it out there because once you put it out there, people can read it. But here's the thing: no matter what, you represent a lot of perspectives. You're not gonna find nobody that's gonna lean. Somebody gonna be left leaning, right leaning, whatever you want to say about it. When it comes to DJ Lagway, you're not just talking about what you saw. That's based on quarterbacks you've seen over the years. Like, hey, I've seen some guys come through here now, and when football is the ultimate eye test. What I see has a lot to do with what I say, what I write, what I feel. The thing about DJ Lagway, he was the Gatorade National Player of the Year. That's got to mean something from Texas, by the way, where they breed quarterbacks. Number two, I remember, and buddy, you wasn't privy to this. You know how many people I heard behind the scenes saying, "We're not going to get DJ. They're not going to be able to afford it. He's going to flip. He's going to flip. Did he flip? No. Did he do what he said he was going to do and help us bring recruits in? Yes. He did it two ways. He actually went out there and tried to help get guys, and his play on the field was like, hey, I want to play with that dude. So, but buddy, it's not so much Buddy Martin was right or wrong. Buddy Martin represents a perspective and a viewpoint that a lot of people do, and you put it out there. And here's the thing, though, buddy. Why is it when you write, people get quiet, but when you not right, everybody got something to say?
Up to the territory. It's like when you play tight end, you drop some balls. You're going to get a lot of. You've heard that before. You didn't drop many, but I want to say this. I might say, like, I picked Florida to be 7-5 last year. They say, well, I picked them too. Well, you didn't put your opinion down on black and white. You thought it, but nobody, when they didn't make it, you have to answer it. Nobody.
Yep.
When I put mine down there, I'll be accountable for it, whatever, and I know I'm going to be wrong. But at times. But sometimes I'm right. And so I'm going to keep putting it out there until people say, shut up, old man. And I'll stop. Anyway, so here's somebody, Ben, who says, of you, says, last year, Ben got me so hyped for the Miami game, and then it really hit hard. See, but I love you, Ben. I love what you do.
No. And listen, and I'm never. Number one. We lost real bad in the swamp to the number one pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. He was the number one pick in the draft, right? We lost on the road to Texas. That we had our backup quarterback. We was outmatched. We get it. We were tied 20-20 with Georgia in the fourth quarter.
Should have won the game.
Right now, Texas A&M was just bad. Texas A&M was real similar to Miami. It got really, really bad, right? And after that, people was like, well, you could just stick a fork in them. All right. What happened? Why didn't LSU go to the college football playoff? Who sent them packing? Why didn't Ole Miss go to the college football playoff? Who sent them packing? Right? Who ran the ball down their throat against Kentucky? Who should have won at Tennessee in overtime? We can't forget we lost the game. We don't do no moral victories over here, buddy. That is a Buddy Martin staple. There are no moral victories over here. We don't do that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, 8-5 is what we ended up, and every team we lost to was more than credible. Was one of the best teams in the country, and Texas, Tennessee, Georgia went to the college football playoff. Texas A&M had they beat Texas would have went, and Miami just lost to Syracuse. So I'm like I said, we went 8-5. We get it, and now it starts over again this year because we got the same schedule. The only difference is we taking off UCF, we adding USF. Right. And we got, so we'll see what happens, though. We'll talk
about that all summer. Let me get to one thing before I get to bring this guy in. I want to tell you about this thing, the stat that came up today. And this is fascinating, I think. And I'm going to come back and get your comments. And Ben, I know you have a lot of respect for coaches and people that, do, especially those that sometimes don't quite get the credit they deserve. And today was significant, and Rob, you stand by. You and I have talked about this because the Hall of Fame qualifications have changed. Yes, they've changed. It's amazing. And if you go back and say, what guys didn't get in the Hall of Fame that maybe should have, in college football in recent years, I don't mean someone 50, 60 years ago, but there are some guys who should have made it. I think maybe one of them was Mike Leach. Didn't quite qualify. I think he missed a bad game or whatever. You can argue Les Miles all day long, whether you think he should have or should not have made it. The fact is he won a national championship. And now you got Jackie Sherrill, who I know, Rob, you know well, and you had him on the program. Well, they changed this qualifications. I don't have the story in front of me, where you were supposed to win 60% of your games to qualify for the Hall of Fame. Well, apparently they've changed that now to 59.5%. And guys like that, like Sherrill and those three guys are now eligible for the Hall of Fame. So hold on 1 second while I tell you about my sponsor, and then we'll get you guys on to share this. So again, you saw the story, Ben. Now you don't have to win that many. I want to get your opinion. Good thing, bad thing. I know Rob's got some opinions. I want to tell you mainly about my friends and my sponsor, Meldon Law, longtime sponsor. They did a fantastic job of being Gator supporters and being great lawyers, and also helping programs like this one and others, which they've been a longtime friend. They don't come any better than Jeffrey Meldon. And Meldon Law, if you need their help, they're helping me now on something that's been going, long case. It takes, sometimes the wheels of justice turn slowly, as long as they are right. Meldon Law, the only official law sponsor of the University of Florida. Of course, Jeffrey was very happy about his friend Todd Golden. Spent some time when they went out to the West Coast, to Texas, up over to Carolina, and enjoyed that. And Jeffrey loves doing things like that and being involved, whether it's getting new transportation for the band or whatever. He does great stuff, he and his family there. So if you need help with law situations, or you want to talk some ball, call Jeffrey Meldon or his family at Meldon Law. And they're located in 4 places: to serve you, Ocala, Gainesville, Wilson Lake City. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Rob Browne, Jackie Sherrill is your friend.
I mean, look, think about his career. 1 year at Washington State, and then Pitt and Texas A&M, Mississippi State. He took some programs that were struggling, especially A&M and Mississippi State, did a great job there. So that makes sense. I mean, for what he did, but still got to have a high standard to get in there. Mike Leach, absolutely. Same thing. I mean, Ben, he won at Washington State. That's like having a great hockey program in Belgrade, Florida. Although the team over in Tampa is pretty good. but I just, those are 2 coaches. Johnny Majors, yeah, those are 3 guys that have. I think also your contributions to college football, that ought to matter a lot. Those are just 3 coaches, and I know we can bring up some more.
I think probably you get some pushback on Les Miles, maybe, but he didn't win he won a national championship. But certainly Leach and Sherrill. I mean, I think those are 2 guys. Isn't Johnny Majors in the Hall of Fame?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think he is, but Les Miles, God, man, I don't know what Les Miles
won
did.
A national championship.
Yeah, he won a national championship. He won a lot of games, Ben. I mean, he won a lot of games. He wore a funny looking hat, and he chewed on blades of grass, but it's a lot better than what Gus Malzahn used to chew on the sidelines. I'll leave that one to the imagination. Wearing a sweater vest.
There are times, there are things happening around college football, Major League Baseball that is it's happening, but it's happening too soon. I mean, Pete Rose, he's off the permanent ineligible list, right? He's off, right?
Yep.
Les Miles and Mike Leach, right? I mean, may he rest in paradise. Look, sometimes even college football can get it right. And I think this is getting it right. I don't listen, Les Miles, you don't got to like him. You don't got to like what he did.
Yeah.
When it mattered, he got it done. When it mattered at LSU, he got it done. And you don't got to. And I think what happens is when they start talking about putting people in, we're talking about what they did in that coaching position. We're not talking about what they did outside of it, because as they would tell us when I played, just because you don't know my worst moment don't mean I ain't got no bad moment. I got some awful moments, but they wasn't televised. No one heard about them. No one saw it. Because as much as we want to judge people on their best moment, you are judged on how bad your bad was. That's how we look at a lot of people. How bad was his bad?
Yeah.
Well, how bad was his bad talking about what? You talking about football? His bad wasn't bad. His bad was still good. You don't get in the Hall of Fame by being okay and having moments. You get in the Hall of Fame because when people mention you, people go, oh, yeah, man. Oh, God. Like, that means that people who didn't know about everything you did still watch you from afar. When Leach came over to the SEC, we was like, we already knew it was coming. They finna throw this thing around the yard like they did at Washington State. Les Miles, it's not easy to coach and win at LSU. It's just not. Right? It's just not. Nick Saban won.
Oh, a lot of good players at LSU. Right? A lot of great players there.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for Mike Leach's family, because sometimes, I don't think Mike Leach when he coached was coaching for legacy, but that's what he left. A legacy is what you leave behind.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for all, because the Hall of Fame is very, very prestigious. The Hall of Very Good, that line is longer. It stretches from the east to the west coast. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be short. It's supposed to be difficult. You're supposed to go, oh, I thought he was in. No. And people think, listen, 59 point whatever it is, and 60%. That's not that big of a difference.
Well, who would you vote for? Who would you leave off that group, man? And
who would I leave off?
Rob? And I'm gonna get Franz there. 3 guys should go re-eligible to make it a Hall of Fame now. I'm thrilled about Mike Leach.
He's the only one on there that should be.
Well, I don't like you, and I could argue for Les Miles. Because he did have some great seasons on the national. And Jackie Sherrill, his body of work. Rob, you know him well. How many years he coached in different places?
Well, I mean, I'd say Jackie Sherrill. I mean, look, we all know we like sausage, but we don't want to watch it being made. But Jackie Sherrill turned some programs around. I mean, Mike Leach won at Texas Tech. Les Miles was goofier than a football bat, but damn, he won a lot of games at LSU. Got to remember, LSU, 89 through 94, had 6 consecutive losing seasons, man. You're right about it. It can be a hard place to win, just getting everybody on the same page. Mike Leach, though, he did a lot. He had Mississippi State with a 9-win season when he died.
He was a genius.
And he was also great with people. We got to tap into a lot of the Texas writers on the show that knew him really well, and things that I never knew about him. Now, as far as what guys do off the field, man, if social media would have been around when all these greats in the past were walking the sidelines, my God, women and children, run for your lives, because we think because people used to wear a coat and tie on the sidelines, they were nice. They weren't all Hugh Beaumont. I can assure you. That's
look, you didn't even notice Franz's new headphones.
I like them. I like those.
The other ones had to get charged, so I had to get the backups.
I understand. I got those same ones. Franz, what about it? Mike Leach, you're going to be happy about that.
I think Mike Leach should be in, and simply because he died. The other guys lived. The other guys didn't. The other guys got forced out where they were. Les Miles got fired at Kansas. Stupid for taking that job, but he got fired at LSU too. And Mike Leach, had he come back at and Mississippi State would have had another 9-win season. He wasn't going to win 10, 12 games a year there, but he was going to win 9 at a place that's impossible to win 9 at. He and Dan Mullen proved it can be done at Mississippi State. Jackie Sherrill did well at Mississippi State, but Jackie Sherrill had a lot of 7, 6 seasons in there, and Mike Leach came in there and just proved that if you got the right scheme and you can get somebody that'll listen to you, do what you ask him to do, you can win some ball games.
What I thought about Franz and Ben particularly when I heard about Mike Leach is Steve Spurrier Jr. He got to work with him for a few years. What did he get the chance? What did he get? What did he get from that? It had to be something to help carry that legacy. Mike Leach, his dad was a great coach. Mike Leach, his dad was happy that his son coached for Mike Leach because he was a rare human being. He was a free spirit. He was a wonderful conversationalist. You could walk up to him at halftime and say, "Let me talk to you about what you feed your cat," and he'd talk to you about it. That's really how he was, And he
had
was
a law degree.
Yeah, and he was a smart, brilliant guy, and he also was extremely good at coaching the pass game. He's part of that whole genre, right? I'm happy for him. So Ben, who would you vote for, and who would you leave out of those 3?
Woo, man. Mike Leach will definitely get my vote because bigger than what he did as a coach, he's an innovator. Meaning, if people know the type of offense you run, when most people don't even understand offense, that's who that Mike Leach do. Oh, he gonna throw. And, people talk. I know what he did at Mississippi State. Listen, did he coach Graham Harrell at Texas Tech?
Yeah,
was that his quarterback? So he had Michael Crabtree. Oh my freaking God! You talk about having 2 guys. I remember them beating Texas on ESPN at night. Beat them and walk. I didn't. Obviously, I don't know a lot about Jackie Sherrill as much as you guys do. I think the reason why I would vote in for Les Miles, I would vote him in. I don't like to not vote anybody out. I would vote for Les Miles because, LSU was a tough place to coach and win. And like I say, he coming behind Saban. And people's already thinking he was going to be okay-ish. No, yeah. He was a really, really good. I do agree with Franz. Just because some people are offering you don't mean you take jobs now. Kansas let you know he just wanted to coach football.
Yeah.
So like I said, I would definitely vote Les Miles in. I think everybody deserves it. I just think when you talk about a Mike Leach, though, Mike Leach had a Coach Spurrier mentality, meaning I don't care where I'm coaching, this is how we playing. I don't care if I'm in the Pac-12. I don't care if I'm right there at Texas Tech. I don't care if I come. When he came to the SEC, I said, dude, you better drink some Gatorade or you play on that offense. They finna be throwing. And he lived and died with his offense. He ain't saying, I'm going to go to the running game. So I appreciate people who stick to their guns. And Mike Leach was great for the game. Like, this dude was funny. He was charismatic. And I think he knew how much he meant to his players, to the league. To college football. Like I said, man, may he rest in peace. I wonder what it have been like now if he's still in the SEC. That goes, him and Lane Kiffin. I would love to hear what Lane Kiffin would say about Mike Leach, man. Because like I say, if you ain't got a sense of humor, you can't be around a guy like Mike. He made you feel like you knew him, even if you've never had a conversation with him.
Right.
Can you imagine him at the SEC meetings this week with all the crap that's going on with Brian Kelly trying to act like he actually speaks for the SEC coaches? Brian Kelly speaks for Brian Kelly, and nobody likes him in the SEC. And quite frankly, I don't know if his wife likes him. I hope she does. But at any rate, you got Mike Leach proclaiming he's talking for the SEC. You got people saying we got to have 8-game seasons so we can still play Western Wenatchee Technical Institute and homeless shelter for homecoming. And you got other people saying we need 9 games and play one against the Big Ten. What BS? You know, there's a simple solution to it all. 16, if you want to go 16 teams, either you take 8 conference champions and 8 at large, or you take the 16 best, one of the two, nothing else. Nothing else. Don't guarantee nobody gets any guarantees with the 16. If you want to guarantee, then you got to guarantee all 8 conference champs, and then you got 8 at large.
All right, let me do this. Franz, hold on one second. I got a lot to catch up on. I want to get Ben out of here. He's got things to do, and I want Rob to weigh in first on Rob, who you vote for and who you leave out of those 3 coaches.
I put in Jackie Sherrill, Mike Leach. I think both of them, they won at programs that were not easy to win at. Les Miles won at Oklahoma State. But remember, Pat Jones had success there when he had Barry Sanders. And Kansas is not the worst place in the world. They've got a pretty damn big endowment. But I would, and I don't dislike Les Miles, but Leach and Sherrill would be my 2.
All right, let me get Ben out of here. Any thoughts about the softball team having to dig out tomorrow night against Tennessee, and the baseball team kicking it off at noon tomorrow? Ben?
I think our softball team I think they built to play their best in adverse situations, just as those young ladies from Athens. We've been here, but there's nothing that they're going to see now that they haven't done throughout the course of the season. I think we were at our best when our backs are against the wall. And look, I don't know how many years came off my life in the NCAA tournament. Our baseball team was getting ready to play. Good God. Yeah. I don't know what it is by inning 6 to 9, friends. Our bats will wake up. But before I get out of here, listen, I'm just talking directly to Buddy. Buddy, listen, I don't know if you saw him. Ron Acuna Jr. is back. He's not hurt anymore.
I can't hear you, man. I got some interference in my ear. I can't hear anything. I'm watching the Rays beat the Astros right now.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is, as long as you don't put on the Tampa Bay Rays hat, I will not pull out my Braves hat. But if you sneak one in, buddy, I'm telling you, I'm ready. I got some fresh.
All right, I want to see that Kool-Aid hat of him. Kool-Aid. Drink Ben's Kool-Aid right there. Yes, I ain't drinking this year. You're not gonna get me on this one. Right. Thank you. 84 Reasons. Check him out. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
And wow, man. Acuna first hit though.
Well, he's gone.
470 feet. That was incredible.
He's gone now. But I want to get you guys in a conversation here in the last 10 minutes about where we stand now. Franz, you wrote a nice story on the softball team. It's brutal to lose to Texas on anything. I could very easily fall into the lapse into my mentality you have for Georgia when you talk about Texas, because Texas always got to be one up in you. There's 2 things I want to ask you about, Franz. First of all, the schedule came out on football, and I want to get into the baseball. Schedule is, we know now that it's a night game in LSU. They posted them today, and those are out there. That's brutal. I think that's their first game, isn't it? First home game, yeah. At LSU is a night game.
Yeah, well, LSU's got they're opening up with Southern Cal, if I'm not mistaken, and then they get maybe it's southeastern Louisiana, or it might be a convent.
Yeah,
might be a convent from
tough opening game.
Yeah, but it's the first home opening game against a decent team.
Right, exactly.
And I'm going to say right now, I'm not sold on Brian Kelly, number 1, and number 2, I'm not sold on that football team. I mean, he had the best offensive line in the country last year, gave up 8 sacks to the Gators. And I guarantee you, Garrett Nussmeier is still hearing the footsteps and still wondering where the hell the blitz is coming from. And if you think that last year was fun, wait till this year, because now that our defensive coordinator has had a year to get in his head with the creeper defense, he's going to be showing things that he showed last year, and then pulling the rug out from under him. This is going to be like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the kicking the football, and that he's going to be showing this. But when they come to kick it, he's going to be pulling. The football's going to be pulled away. I am convinced that LSU is an 8-4 team at best next year.
Well, they look getting a lot of love in the polls. They're all starting to follow, talking big time, big year.
It's like Duke basketball, buddy. I mean, Duke could have the three of us starting, and Dick Vitale would claim that we're going to win the national championship, and that Cooper Flagg would gladly bear Cooper Flagg's firstborn male child if possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Couple of quick things I want to hit you up with before we go. First of all, have you heard anything, Franz, about Dejon Johnson? He's still with the team now, and that recent arrest, he's not been charged, but he's not kicked off the team. And have you heard anything about that other than what's on the internet?
The only thing I've heard is that they're going to let the system play out. And one way or the other, there will be, he's not getting off easy, period. Yeah. He's going to have consequences for his actions. No. If it's true that the gun belonged to somebody else and whatever like that, no. He's still going to have to pay the price for a bad choice of people you hang around with. Yeah. Because that's one of the big things Billy talks about. Is it's not just what you do, it's who you hang around with.
Yeah, no doubt. You're who company you keep. By the way, my mother's told us that. Hey, Rob, I'll ask you as a sort of an outsider, although you're on this program a lot, and a lot of Gator fans know you. Is this impressive? I read this today. Florida's the only school to make the Women's College World Series, the Final Four in college basketball, a bowl game, and a baseball regional. You know that?
Well, and they're also the only school to win 3 national titles in football. This is just more impressive, but it goes back to what Franz says, 268 SEC championships all time. Georgia's the second most with 148. I think it's just more of the same. I mean, in a good way. I will never say anything just to be nice or to placate people. I've always watched Florida from afar as a rival, watching them play, but just like going, damn, they got a lot going on. Yeah. That's why when they stumble in football, you're just like, this isn't supposed to happen.
All right, 2 more things before we get you guys out of here on time for the executive producer hollers at me. Whose job is it to call balls and strikes? Did you see the softball game where Florida had the plate umpire call strike 3 out, and meanwhile the catcher threw it to first base, and the third base coach in the same frame said no, he didn't go or whatever. So there was 2 calls, and the plate umpires, what the players heard. I mean, who's calling balls and strikes? The ump or the third base umpire?
The man behind the plate has the ultimate responsibility. He overrides everybody.
Then nobody should be able to advance, in my opinion, when that happens. That's ridiculous. Crazy.
The thing is the home plate umpire does not have to ask for help. There's no requirement.
He was volunteered to help.
If he asks for help and the guy says no, he did not go, he is bound by that decision. Yeah. Okay, fine. He did not go. I'm bound by it because I asked for it. But he is not, there is no requirement that says I have to ask for help.
Yeah. All right, here's the last one. This is really crazy. You guys heard about Xavier Lee's shoe deal?
Yeah.
Xavier Lee, the guy came from Princeton, a guy that Florida's going to have, Rob. You heard of him.
Yeah.
Perfect prospect, He's got a shoe deal with a company called, what's it called? Serious Player Only. The organization got him this shoe deal to make a combined $6 million on a NIL collective. $6 million on a shoe deal at Florida. What's your first thoughts on that, Rob?
Well, the people putting that together have got more money than we know they do. $6 million to a sophomore, and that's spread over how long a time period? I'd like to read the contract.
I don't know anything about
that. Yeah, that's what I mean. If that's over 3 years, but nobody stays that long. So, what can you say other than the free market? If it can bear it, it'll pay it.
Franz?
Well, this is a deal that kicks in the actual shoes, etc., like that, after he graduates from Florida. He's only got one more year of eligibility.
Okay, so it's a long-term deal, Franz?
Yeah, it's a long-term.
Yeah, okay.
It's a long-term
That's what I
deal.
thought.
It's kind of like this. Cooper Flag this year wore Nike shoes and apparel during the game, but was doing commercials for New Balance. His shoe deal going into the NBA will be with New Balance. And so they bet on, they're betting on long term that, okay, he's going to be worth it. And this is what it is. This is how a lot of people are going to get around some of this. We're going to have legislation that's going to change a lot of things. But here's the thing that I was glad to hear. The one thing I thought I took from SEC spring meetings was this. Everybody is in agreement that we got to go to a system that involves contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts with buyouts and penalties. You can sign a kid to a contract, for example, he's a football player, and if he is under contract to you and he decides to opt out for the bowl game, you have the right then to say, okay, fine, you owe me for everything I invested in you all the way back to your freshman year. You have that right. Breach of contract is a very, very serious thing. And not just in the state of Florida, where it's one of the hardest places in the world, but throughout, most of the places in the South do have very strong breach of contract rules.
Correct.
And then Rob make a comment, then I got to get a book comment from you, Franz. So we got 3 minutes total, guys.
Yeah,
Rob?
Absolutely. If that's a long-term deal, man, hell yeah, go for it. That makes sense. But if you don't have it in writing, you can't do any fighting.
All right, Franz, give me some book. When's it coming out? What's it going to be called? How's the progress of it? Tell me what's going on with the book that you're writing.
Progress is we're pushing down the last little bit to get it done. I hope I thought I'd have it done earlier, like maybe Wednesday of this week. A few things have happened that have pushed it back a little bit, but it's not that far off. And then it's going to be up to you guys who edit and know the book business about what photos go in and what comes in and what goes out and everything like that. I'm just an old cowhand from the Rio Grande. You tell me what to do, and I'm doing it. And the rest is up to the pros.
Rob Browne introduced some really smart people in Alabama up around Auburn.
Hey, I'm going to help you, Franz. This book's going to be freaking awesome. This is going to be incredible. I'm looking forward. I'm buying a copy.
There you go.
I got my first one sold.
There you go.
I want it signed.
I'll sign it, and I'll even make sure we get a picture of the two of us together.
Thank you.
Insert
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Franz. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
you guys
you.
take care. Have a good one. We'll be watching the baseball team tomorrow, and we'll be watching the softball team tomorrow night. Thanks very much, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Always.
Just a time for me to tell you about our good friends at Titan MRI. It's now called Titan MRI Imaging. They acquired Highfield, and Joe Colorio started Highfield in 1997. Now he's back. Titan MRI and Imaging has 3 locations to serve you, 2 in Gainesville, with this Park Avenue location, and now at the Millennium Center, and 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI and Imaging offers the same great customer service. They accept insurance, or you can go through their convenient self-pay options. If they offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds, easy scheduling, lots of information options, including evenings if you need to do that. Larger MRI machines for patient comfort, no ERs, no hospitals. Titan MRI and imaging, check them out. They're located in North Florida, soon to be coming to Marion County, as well as that. So appreciate our guest tonight. Ben, of course, always is great. Franz Beard, working on that book. And, of course, Rob Browne, who's on everywhere. Good to have him. All three good people. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. There's going to be a lot of hot conversations coming up this fall and this spring later on. So stay tuned for this and other shows. Don't forget, Rob Browne is in the morning will be on, and you can check him out. He does the SEC sidelines. We'll be back sometime over the weekend. We'll figure out what that's going to happen. And so meanwhile, we'll keep you up to speed. And appreciate you listening and watching. Tell your friends and neighbors to check us out here on the Buddy Martin Show and on SEC Sidelines. Have a great one, folks, and we'll talk to you next Monday, or if not before.